NFL trade rumors around Shedeur are exploding, and I do mean exploding, like a fireworks factory on the 4th of July. Multiple teams have reportedly made offers. Real ones. Serious ones. And Cleveland? They're just over here sipping their pumpkin spice and shaking their heads like, no, thanks. We'd rather keep him as a vibe. Excuse me? Let's break this down, because it's honestly wild. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a buzzworthy name. This guy is it. The accuracy, the pocket presence, the composure. He plays like someone who's been living in film rooms since birth. And, well, he kind of has. But instead of giving him a real shot under center, Cleveland has basically turned him into a living brand mascot. Jerseys flying off the shelves. Stadiums selling out. Highlight reels for days. And not a single NFL snap. Yeah, we're in full marketing mode. But while Cleveland's over here printing money with his face on it, other teams, smart teams, are circling like sharks. Over the past 3 months, GMs across the league have reportedly tried to pry him away with trade packages that would make your eyes water. And yet, the Browns have slammed the door shut every time. Why? Because apparently, Shedeur is worth more to them as a brand than as a quarterback. Let that sink in. This is where it gets extra spicy. Because while Cleveland pretends this is all part of some long-term development strategy, we all see what's happening. They're playing it safe. They're playing it boring. Joe Flacco is getting snaps because he's safe. He's predictable. He won't rock the boat. But guess what? He also won't win you a playoff run in 2025. Meanwhile, Shedeur is sitting on the sideline with a clipboard and the potential to actually change the game. And here's the part that stings the most. The rest of the league knows it. Teams that passed on in the draft are now quietly regretting it, and not so quietly trying to fix it. According to insiders, some franchises are even admitting behind closed doors that they underestimated him, that they bought into draft day politics, the fall narrative, the whispers that he wasn't NFL ready. Let's talk about that fall, by the way. If you think Shedeur Sanders fell in the draft because of actual concerns about his talent, I've got a beachfront condo in Ohio to sell you. This wasn't about performance. This was about power. The league played chess, not checkers. Let him slip, suppress his rookie contract value, and now they want in. It's the oldest trick in the NFL playbook. Underrate, underdraft, and then circle back when it's convenient. Only problem? Cleveland actually landed him, and now they're gatekeeping him like a rare vinyl. They refuse to let anyone play. And while the Browns cling to their PR-friendly prodigy, fans are growing restless. Because even if he's not on the field yet, Shedeur's impact is already undeniable. Attendance? Through the roof. Media coverage? Unmatched. You'd think he was already an MVP candidate. But nope. Still hasn't thrown a regular season pass. Cleveland's got a cultural shift happening around him, but not because of his play. That's the problem. This isn't just about developing a young quarterback. It's about fear, about control, about a franchise so scarred by decades of quarterback disasters that they'd rather play it safe and sell hype than risk letting Shedeur actually take the wheel. But let's be real. The Browns have nothing to lose. They're not Super Bowl favorites. They're not dominating the AFC. And Flacco? Respect to the man, but he's not the future. This isn't a playoff team being careful. It's a mid-tier team playing scared. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is sitting there with a cannon for an arm, elite poise, and, let's be honest, the kind of leadership energy that could shift an entire locker room. But the Browns are scared to let him cook. And if they're not careful, they're going to lose him. Because trade talks don't just pop up. These teams aren't just checking in for fun. This is interest. Real, sustained, strategic interest from organizations that are watching Cleveland mishandle something valuable, and they want in. The calls are coming from inside the league. It's like everyone else can see the treasure chest, but Cleveland's too busy polishing the lock to open it. And the fans? Oh, they're watching. And they're tired. The energy around the Browns has shifted. Yes, but if Shedeur doesn't actually get a chance to play, that momentum is going to rot into resentment. People don't want jerseys. They want wins. And Shedeur can deliver that. He's not just a name. He's not just a legacy kid. He's proven. His college tape looks like a masterclass. His mechanics are tight. His football IQ is absurd. He's been coached by one of the most intense and strategic football minds in recent history, his own father. And still, people treat him like he's just a marketing tool. Let's also not ignore the NFL's habit of trying to keep certain quarterbacks in waiting rooms longer than others. The politics, the manipulation, the unspoken bias. But here's what they can't manipulate: talent. And Shedeur's got it in dangerous quantities. So, what are we doing? The Browns are sitting on a star. The fans are begging for change. The league is throwing offers on the table. And yet, nothing. Crickets. At what point does it stop being smart asset management and start being sabotage? Because if Cleveland keeps playing it this safe, they're not just going to lose games. They're going to lose him. Shedeur isn't going to sit around forever while other teams come calling. He's a competitor. He wants to play. He wants to win. And if the Browns aren't ready to give him that platform, someone else will. And when that day comes, because it will, Cleveland's going to look back and realize they had a generational quarterback in the building and treated him like a promotional campaign. The irony? The very thing they're using him for, buzz, relevance, fan hype, is going to walk out the door when he does. They're not building a future. They're buying time. And time runs out. So here we are, days before the Browns face off against the Ravens. A game that should have been the moment. A game that could have marked the beginning of the Shedeur-Sanders era. But instead, it's just another reminder that Cleveland would rather play veteran roulette than bet on the obvious answer staring them in the face. The Ravens game will come and go. Maybe Flacco throws for 200 yards. Maybe he doesn't. Either way, fans know what they're not seeing and what they could be seeing. Because somewhere behind that bench, behind the clipboard, behind the PR smiles and the hype reels, is a quarterback who could change everything. And if the Browns don't see it soon, someone else will. So, what do you think? Is Cleveland playing it smart or playing scared? Should Shedeur finally be unleashed? Or is this all just part of the plan? Drop your take in the comments, because something tells me this drama is just getting started. And if you want to keep following this mess, and trust me, it's only going to get messier, don't forget to subscribe. We'll be here every step of the way, popcorn in hand, watching the Browns either rise with Sanders or regret letting him go. Your move? Cleveland. Someone with NFL vision baked into his DNA. Someone who handled primetime media scrutiny at age 19 like a 10-year veteran. This isn't just a quarterback. It's a movement in cleats. And yet, the Browns are treating him like he's an intern with potential. A marketing intern. Selling tickets, not touchdowns. You ever feel like you're watching someone willingly throw away a winning lottery ticket? That's the Browns right now. Holding on to Shedeur like a collector's item. Too scared to scratch the surface and reveal what's underneath. And what is underneath? Oh, just one of the most NFL-ready quarterbacks to come out of college in years. No big deal. So let's talk about that readiness, because it's not just hype, it's quantifiable. Shedeur-Sanders isn't some loose cannon with raw athleticism and zero control. He's surgical. Reads defenses like he's flipping through a menu. His pocket awareness? Chef's kiss. The man can maneuver around collapse and protection like he's done it in his sleep. And don't even get me started on accuracy. There are microwave ovens with less precision than this guy's throwing mechanics. But what does Cleveland do? They let Joe Flacco trot out there week after week, looking like he's trying to recreate his 2012 highlight reel in slow motion. Sure, Flacco has experience. Sure, he can manage a game. But we're not here to manage. We're here to win. And there's a very real difference. Every snap Flacco takes is a missed opportunity for Cleveland's future. Every game they squeak by, or worse, lose, while Shedeur watches from the sidelines, is a step closer to disaster. Because how long do you think he's going to put up with this? This is a guy who could start tomorrow on half the teams in the NFL. And honestly, probably do better than their current starters. You think the Falcons, Raiders, or Commanders wouldn't love to throw him into the mix right now. Even teams with young quarterbacks have reportedly poked around, because even a no-talent like this doesn't just sit still. It moves. It grows. It wins. The Browns have the power to unleash that growth. And yet, they're acting like scared landlords trying to protect an empty rental property. Don't touch the walls. Don't use the stove. We're waiting for the perfect tenant. Newsflash! The perfect tenant is already living there, and he's ready to renovate the whole block. Meanwhile, the fans, they're not dumb. They feel the disconnect. Every week, Shedeur's name trends without him even taking a snap. That's not hype. That's a signal. That's people waking up to the fact that they're being sold a sanitized version of what this team could be, and it's wearing thin. Let's go back to those trade rumors, because honestly, they say more than Cleveland ever will. Multiple teams over 3 months, all calling, all interested, not just kicking the tires, but reportedly throwing serious value on the table. First-rounders, future picks, young assets. That's not nothing. That's an investment. That's other organizations saying, hey, Cleveland, if you're not going to treat him like the guy, we will. And Cleveland still says no, which tells us everything we need to know about where their priorities lie. This isn't about development. This is about control. It's about optics. It's about having a flashy name on the roster to drive interest while you maintain the status quo. But football isn't about optics. It's about wins. And if Shedeur Sanders was starting right now, even with rookie mistakes, even with the growing pains, you can bet this team would look and feel completely different. But instead, he's stuck behind a guy whose peak is in the rearview mirror, while his own potential hasn't even had a chance to breathe. And you know Shedeur sees it. You know he's watching these decisions unfold with the same confusion as the rest of us. Because he's not delusional. He knows he can play. He knows the teams are calling. He knows the league sees what Cleveland is pretending not to. He's patient, but he's not passive. There's a big difference. And the longer this goes on, the more likely it is that his patience runs out. At a certain point, talent like his finds a way out, whether the forced trade, a contract standoff, or just quietly walking into a better situation when the time comes. It happens. The league is littered with stars who got overlooked by their first teams, only to rise somewhere else. Don't be surprised when Shedeur becomes one of them, because here's the poetic part. The same fans who are showing up in droves just for him will follow him wherever he goes. That kind of energy doesn't stay locked down to one zip code. That's player-first loyalty. Something the NFL is finally waking up to. And let's not forget the bigger picture here. Shedeur is not just playing for himself. He's carrying a whole legacy with him. A new wave of athletes who aren't content with just being pawns in old-school franchise politics. He's got the charisma, the awareness, and the platform to force a conversation. And when it comes time to speak, you better believe people are going to listen. So what happens next? Well, the Browns can keep pretending this is fine. Keep letting Flacco clock in like it's a 9 to 5. Keep rolling out vanilla offenses and watching third downs die in real time. Or they can wake up. They can recognize that they're sitting on one of the most electric quarterback prospects in a decade. They can take the risk. Start him. Let him fail. Let him learn. Because that's how you build something real. Or, and this is a darker path, they can wait too long. Let him rot. Let the rumors build. Let the locker room split. Let the media feast. And when that day finally comes, when Shedeur is out there lighting it up in another city, with another coach in another system, they'll be left with nothing but old press releases and some dusty merchandise from the season that could have been. That's the future Cleveland is gambling with. And for what? A few more weeks of safe? A few more headlines about jersey sales? A few more hollow wins and meaningless games? It's not enough. Not for a city that's been through it. Not for fans who deserve better. Not for a quarterback who's ready right now. So here we are. Another week. Another game. Another round of trade buzz, sideline shots, and missed chances. And the clock is ticking. So let's end this with a little unsolicited advice. Cleveland, you don't need to protect the brand. You have the brand. It's walking around your facility in a number 2 jersey and throwing dimes in practice while the rest of the league salivates. Start him. Let him grow. Give the city what it's been asking for. Because if you don't, someone else will. And when they do, we'll all look back on this chapter of the Browns' history with one word in mind. Wasted. It's about how NFL teams say they want a spark, but when the fire's finally in the building, they call security. It's about a fan base that's been loyal through decades of chaos, loyal to a fault, and we're now watching that loyalty get played like it's just another business transaction. Let's be brutally honest. Cleveland has been burned before. It's been promised a future more times than it can count. There's a kind of scar tissue that forms after so many false starts. So when Shedeur Sanders arrived, maybe some part of the franchise was afraid to believe again. Maybe that's why they're hesitating. But Shedeur isn't like the others. You can feel it. He's got that rare combination of composure and charisma. The kind of presence where even in silence, people look. The kind of player who can walk into a locker room full of veterans and instantly shift the tone. Not through arrogance, but through certainty. He knows who he is. He knows where he's going. And that makes him dangerous in the best possible way. So, let's put ourselves in Shedeur's shoes for a second. You get drafted into a team that desperately needs a leader. You show up, put in the work, say all the right things, keep your head down, don't stir the pot. You watch as the team fumbles through another cycle of mediocrity. You hear the cheers every time your name's mentioned on the big screen. Even though you haven't played a single down, you hear the rumors. You see the trade offers, and still, they keep you on the shelf. At first, you're patient. You trust the process. Maybe they're easing you in. Maybe they have a plan. But then the season drags on, and that plan, it starts looking more like a stall. Now imagine watching veteran quarterbacks make mistakes you know you wouldn't. Watching games slip through the cracks. Watching the city beg for something different. And knowing that you could be the difference. How long do you sit there quietly? How long before that patience turns into something else? Frustration? Resentment? Motivation? Because that's where the Browns are heading if they don't course correct soon. They're walking a tightrope between keeping their future happy and slowly poisoning the well. And here's the dangerous part. Once a player feels wasted, once that trust cracks, it's almost impossible to repair. You can't rebuild that belief once it's gone. You can't market your way out of a broken relationship between talent and team. And other organizations? They know this. That's why the trade offers are real. They're not guessing. They're waiting. Waiting for Shedeur to get fed up. Waiting for Cleveland to blink. Waiting for the opportunity to swoop in and say, "We'll do what they wouldn't." Because every team wants to be the one who believed first. Every team wants the next Mahomes or Hurts or Lamar. And Shedeur? He's walking, talking, headline-generating proof that lightning can strike, if you're willing to trust it. And Cleveland is acting like it doesn't even own a lightning rod. Now look, let's entertain the argument from the other side. Just for fun. Let's say Cleveland's front office actually believes this slow development approach is smart. That sitting Shedeur for a year or two is in his best interest. That it worked for Mahomes. So maybe it'll work for Sanders. Cute. But let's not pretend it's the same. Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, a Pro Bowl-level quarterback having a great season. He didn't sit because he had to. He sat because it made strategic sense. Shedeur is sitting behind Joe Flacco, a man who peaked during the Obama administration. This isn't strategy. This is stagnation. And let's not ignore the fact that Shedeur isn't just being benched. He's being benched while generating the most buzz in the entire organization. That's not development. That's exploitation. You're telling me he can headline every marketing push, boost local media attention, drive fan engagement to record numbers, but somehow isn't ready to play a single down? That math doesn't math. And fans? They're not stupid. They're piecing it together. The timeline, the politics, the why behind the wait. And they're getting angrier, louder, more desperate. Because the truth is, we're not watching a quarterback get developed. We're watching one get delayed. And that delay could cost Cleveland everything. The longer this drags on, the more the league's narrative shifts. From, wow, Cleveland has something special, to wow, Cleveland's in a way something special. We've seen this movie before. It starts with potential. It ends with a bitter departure and a highlight reel from another team's jersey. And when that happens, when Shedeur inevitably gets his chance, somewhere, anywhere, and shows out like everyone knows he will, the Browns will try to play it cool. They'll say it was mutual. They'll say they did what they could. They'll slap together a PR statement about paths diverging. But the fans, they'll remember. They'll remember the weeks they begged for a change. They'll remember the excitement of drafting him. They'll remember the what-ifs, the maybes, the why isn't he starting tweets that age way too well. And they'll be left with regret. Not the kind you forget after a rough season. The kind that haunts a franchise. Because this isn't just a quarterback choice. It's a legacy moment. The kind of decision that either cements you as visionary or exposes you as cowardly. Right now, Cleveland's looking a lot more scared than smart. And Shedeur, he's watching, waiting, preparing. He's not going to fade into the background. That's not his style. That's not who he is. This is a kid who walked into a media circus in college and owned it, who answered criticism with stats, who walked the line between hype and humility with laser focus, who treated every game like it was a playoff audition and passed with flying colors. You think he's going to sit back and let himself be minimized in the pros? Nah, he's too composed for drama, too locked in for ego, but make no mistake, he knows his worth. And the minute a door opens somewhere else, he's sprinting through it. So this is Cleveland's final warning shot. Start him. Let him lead. Let him fail and learn and grow and stumble and get better. Because he will. Or keep hiding behind excuses, playing it safe, and waiting for a perfect moment that will never come. Either way, Shedeur Sanders is going to win. The only question is, where? So here's your cue. If you're watching this, if you're yelling at your screen every week wondering why we haven't seen number 2 under center yet, drop it in the comments. Tell me what you would do if you were the Browns GM for a day. Would you take the risk? Or trade him now before it all explodes? And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. Because this saga is far from over. And when the meltdown finally happens, you better believe we'll be here for every glorious second of it. This isn't just football anymore. This is personal.